just wanted to shout out Nino over here on the drums. I don't know if you guys see Nino. I don't know if you have an instrument that you wish you could play the most on the stage and you kind of vicariously think like, I'm up there, I'm doing that, I can do that. It's probably just me. But for me, it's you, Nino, on the drums, and you are crushing it, man. And what's cool is the kids sit in the front row, and I watch the kids, and they're just watching you like, they're watching everything you're doing, man. And I think it's so cool. And we got reconnected about 6 weeks ago, and Nino was like, Nate's been calling me like every month to see if I play in the drums. I haven't been church in a couple years, and we got reconnected. And I was like, you should come and play. And he's been up here ever since. So give it up for Nino. Appreciate you, man. Hey, I like to start out with questions. And this opening question today, some of you aren't going to want to answer, because you're going to think that the pastor is calling you out, and I am not. All right, this is a judgment-free basement for the most part. If you feed seagulls or root for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a little bit of judgment. All right, a little bit of judgment. You know who you are, Kristen Corsery, wherever she is. Anyway, but you can answer this. This is not a judgment question. How many of you have ever been late to church before, including this morning, and 1 second late counts? Raise your hand and keep your hands up. Raise them up. Keep them up. Brock, really? Oh my goodness. I'm going to keep... Carrie, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I told you I wasn't going to judge you. I didn't say I wasn't going to document it. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't want you to feel bad about that, because I was 21 minutes late to church the other weekend, and I'm the pastor. And it was a Sunday that I was preaching, okay? And so let me explain. We are one church with 3 different campuses. And so we have our Millsboro campus. That's the original. That's the OG. And then we have our Fenwick campus. That's the new kid on the block. They're the youngest ones. They're toddlers, you know. And then you have us. We are the dysfunctional ones. We're in our teenage years. We painted our bedroom black, you know, because we're teenagers. We're that campus. And here's what you need to know. If you speak at the Millsboro and Fenwick campuses, how it works is you speak at Fenwick first, and then you get in your car and you drive to Millsboro, and then you speak there on the same day. I don't know if you're feeling this, but I'm a preacher, but everybody just say stressful. Somebody just say stressful. Okay, stressful. And so the other weekend, our Fenwick campus launched their second service, because Fenwick is growing and they're doing amazing. And maybe you're watching online, you're a double dipper, you're from Fenwick. Let's put our hands together for Fenwick. You guys are doing amazing. So they launched a second service, and so now they have an 8 and a 9:30, and then Millsboro has a 10:30 service. Is anybody like doing some analyzing of these times and seeing a problem? Is it just me? And so on the first Sunday of August, when the Fenwick launched their second service, they asked me to be the guinea pig. And I don't know why they asked me, because I am the slowest driver on our staff, y'all, okay? And so, no lie, I spoke at the 9:30 service, the second service in Fenwick, the 9:30 service, and as soon as I'm done, like the service is still going on, I slip out like a back room, little closet area. I go out this back door, I get in my car, and I look at my clock on my RAV4 car, and it says 10:30. Now, who remembers what time the Millsboro campus service starts? 10:30. Now, where am I at 10:30? In Fenwick. Does anybody see a problem? Okay, so I can't tell you the first thing that went through my head when I saw 10:30 on the clock, all right, because we're in church. But the second thing that went through my head is, I need a miracle. And so I started speeding. Like, I do not speed, but I've watched my wife do it a lot, so I thought I kind of knew how. So I am speeding to get there. I passed the car. I don't pass cars. I passed the car for the first time in a decade. I'm like, put my window down, like, it's for the Lord. Don't worry about it, you know. I'm texting the Millsboro staff, like, hey, stall or something. Like, tell them, you know, to do show and tell. I don't really know. Then, and this is true, I come around this S turn. I'm flying. And this car is kind of a blind turn when you come around. There was a car 100% in my lane when I came around the bend, okay? And I'm like, Lord, I need another miracle. And somehow, I don't even know, I was just like, close my eyes and we're fine, okay? I fly into the Millsboro campus parking lot at 10:51. How many minutes late am I to church? 21 minutes late. And in the parking lot is our executive pastor, our media director, and my mother. And they're like, run, Forrest, run. I get out of my car. No lie, I threw my keys at my mom, threw them at her. They put a pack on me, and then they pushed me out in front of the stage, and I'm on the lights like, And we have a video. This is my first moment on the stage. Listen, I literally just pulled in the parking lot 1 minute ago. I am not kidding. I got re-saved 17 times on the ride here. I've been in Philadelphia. And apparently I preached too long, and I am so thankful for our police officers. I am so thankful. But I am glad they were not on the way anywhere I was. But I'm glad to be here. Jeremy met me out in the parking lot. There were people on their headphones saying, the eagle has landed. The eagle has landed. I get like PTSD just watching that. Like I tell you all that I tell you that story because if you're late to church today, I know how you feel. And I'm the pastor. But I also tell you that because I needed a miracle that day and a Xanax. Hello. And here's what I know about some of y'all today. You need a miracle in your life right now. And maybe it's a small miracle that you need. You need the Amazon truck to deliver the thing today. Like you're tracking it in church right now. You're like, if they don't bring my wife's birthday gift, her birthday's today, I will need a bigger miracle if they don't bring it right now. Maybe you need a miracle because your check engine light is on in your car. When you pulled into the park, like it was on. And if you don't get that thing off, then the pastor's going to be driving you home after church today. Maybe you need a miracle of the school bus coming to get your children in a couple of days. Come on, somebody. Put your hands together, Carrie, me and you. Get those kids. That's a little miracle. We need a little miracle. Or maybe you need a big miracle. Maybe if God doesn't rescue you from the addiction that you're in, like it's going to take you out. Maybe you need a miracle in your dating life. All right, hello. If you have to date one more weirdo from one of these weirdo dating apps, you're going to lose your mind. You need a miracle. You're done right here, front row, done. Needs a miracle. Maybe you need a miracle in your health. And if you don't get that miracle, you're not sure if you're going to be here this time next year. Maybe you need a miracle in your marriage because if you don't get that miracle, you don't know if your marriage will be intact this time next year. Maybe you need a miracle in your money because you got more bills than money. Hello, has anybody been there before? And sometimes we need a big old miracle. And I came to church today prepared to tell you some good news. That I 100% believe that Jesus is still doing miracles. I 100% believe that Jesus is still doing miracles. Now, you may not believe that. And this is a judgment-free zone. That's okay. And you may not believe that because maybe you haven't gotten the miracle that you've prayed for in the past. Or maybe you have a loved one who hasn't gotten the miracle that they prayed for in the past. And I think we can all relate to that. Isn't that true? We can relate to that. And why Jesus does miracles for some people who maybe don't even pray that much or maybe don't even have that much faith. And then why he doesn't do miracles for some people who pray and pray and pray and have all this faith. Why that happens is above my pay grade. I am a fellow struggler like you. I don't really understand. I believe that miracles should be renamed into mysteries. So I don't know. But I 100% do know that Jesus did 37 miracles in the Bible that we know about. Now here's why I say that we know about. Because Jesus had a friend named John. And John said that you can't fit everything Jesus did into one book. Like if you filled up all the Delaware State Library books with Jesus' story and all the Barnes & Noble books and all the Browse About books with Jesus' story, you couldn't fit Jesus' story in all those different bookstores because he did so many different things. And so Jesus didn't just do 37 miracles back in the day, and he's not done doing miracles today. He is still breaking the chains of addiction. He's still bringing relationships and marriages back to life. He is still landing people jobs. Hello. He is still helping people meet McDreamy on the Christian Mingle app. Okay, oh no, she's done with that, but that's for someone else. So speaking of miracles, we're in this series called Famous Jesus Stories. I want to tell you the story of Jesus' first miracle. And we know all about Jesus' first miracle because one of Jesus' best friends, John, wrote the Gospel of... You're such an above average church. You're so smart. In the Gospel of John, we find out about this story. Now, maybe you're like, okay, what was Jesus' first miracle? Maybe it was like, he fed the 5,000. That was probably it. Or, no. Maybe like Lazarus, like he brought Lazarus back after prayer. No, it was way better than those two miracles. Okay, the first miracle that Jesus ever did was all about wine. Now, I actually had to ask somebody to bring me this bottle of wine. I don't drink wine. And so I asked somebody to bring me this today, and I thought it would be full. It was delivered empty, so somebody had a good Saturday night. Anyway, if you have a Presbyterian background, like you see the bottle of wine, you're like, oh, yeah, this is my day. Are we passing the bottle around? How's this going to work? If you have a Baptist background, you're like, la, 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 this isn't real. Okay, it wasn't fermented yet. We can laugh. Can we laugh in church? I'm going to put this down before there's a screenshot on Google or something. But I'll be honest. I don't know anything about wine. I'm a preacher's kid from Gumboro. The first bottle of booze I ever saw was at my buddy's farm, and it was Boone's Farm. Boone's Farm. Now, I've never had Boone's Farm, but it sounds hillbilly. It probably pairs well with Scrapple, I'm pretty sure. But in the first miracle that Jesus did, he's at this wedding party, and at the party, he turns water into 180 gallons of Boone's Farm. Can somebody say party? Yeah, some of you are like, that sounds like a sorority party I went to one time, and we're not going to talk about that, all right? Jesus is at this wedding party, and you got to picture this. All of his friends and family are everywhere. The DJ is playing Shabuzi, And speaking of Shabuzi, we got a boozy problem. There it is. And so, check this out. John chapter 2, starting in verse 3. The wine supply ran out during the festivities, during the party. And so Jesus' mother told him, Jesus, they have no more wine. Dear woman, and by the way, I would not recommend calling your mom woman. But this is Jesus, so he can do it. Dear woman, that's not our problem, Jesus replied. My time has not yet come. But his mother, Mary, told the servants, do whatever Jesus, tells you to do. Now, when I was growing up, how things worked in my house is, if mama said it, you did it. Okay, or may the Lord have mercy on your soul. Like, for instance, in the summer months, my parents would go to work, and before my parents would go to work, my mom would make us a chore list to do during the day. Did anybody have this experience? Okay, now, chore list doesn't really catch what my parents would do. My mom, have you ever been to the Cheesecake Factory? Remember their menu? It's like 17 pages. That was my chore list. It was like 17 pages long. You'll find raking leaves on page 17. The worst thing to find on our chore list growing up was to weed the garden. That was the worst. I would rather have re-shingled our roof in the middle of July than weed the garden, because our garden growing up, it was all weeds. I never saw a legit plant in our garden. It was just all weeds, but we were going to weed it, daggone it. And so my philosophy with our chore list was I would do all of my chores right away, because I'm the responsible kid. My brother, however, he waited until the Oldsmobile station wagon pulled into the driveway, and he would offer to pay me money to do his Cheesecake Factory chore list in 37 seconds, okay? And Brock's laughing because I think he was the kid paying for the brother to do the chores, okay, or the sister. And so I remember saying to my mom one time, like, Mom, why do we have to do all these chores? And she said what most moms would say, because I said so. How many of you heard that before? Because I said so. Some of you heard it this morning, because I said so. And you don't mess with mom. And in this story, we're at this wedding party. They run out of wine, and Jesus' mom, so mama's speaking now. She's like, don't listen to what Bridezilla over there says. She's probably the one who drank all the shabuzi. Like, listen to me. And what I want you to do is I want you to listen to my son and do whatever Jesus says, because we got a problem. We ran out of wine. Now, you might be like, well, what? That's not that big of a deal. You run out of wine. Maybe it's the end of the night. It's not, But it's a big deal, because in Jesus' culture, the wedding party lasted for 7 days. Can somebody say Dewey in the room? I mean, come on. It was a party. And your status symbol was based on, as a family, your status symbol was based on how good of a wedding party you threw. So if you do a great party, your reputation was sealed. If you do a terrible party, you were a hillbilly. Like you were kind of like shamed for that. And so we're at the party, they run out of wine, and things are about to get real messy real fast. And so if you're taking notes, I got 2 big ideas for you today. The first one is this, we'll put up here. When you need a miracle, trust that Jesus is still good, even if your situation isn't, and things are messy. Now let's talk about chores for a second. My wife Stacy and I, we're in a glorious new stage of parenting. Our kids are finally old enough, they're 10 and 11, they're old enough to do legit helpful chores. Like this summer, they have had to wash all the dishes. Can I get an amen from a tired parent in the room? And they've had to wash all the dishes. And like up until this point, it's been Stacey and I doing all the, like we were washing the dishes, we're making the nuggies, we're wiping the butts, we're doing, but now my kids, like I can be like, hey kids, make dad some nuggies. And not just like those microwave nuggies, put them in the air fryer. And afterwards, I need you to wash the dishes. And it kind of happens. It's like, I don't do it that much, but like that can happen, okay? And so my kids have washed our dishes all summer long, and I'm proud of them, but our dishes they're messier right now than a Royal Farms bathroom floor. Like the other day, I got a dish out of the cabinet and I literally started drawing on the plate. I could draw on the plate and my kids were like, oh, Dad, we promised we use the kitchen sponge. I'm like, they said it was clean. I was like, you want me to write clean? I can write clean on the actual plate. But my kids know they had to use the kitchen sponge every single time to clean the plate. Now, do you know what studies say is the dirtiest item in your house? Some of you're going to get triggered. This is your trigger moment. It's your kitchen sponge. Because scientists call all the little holes in your kitchen sponge, they call them germ apartments. You got like salmonella kicking it in apartment 3B. You got mold and mildew and bacteria in the next apartment next to, like, it's just disgusting. So my kids are probably actually using the kitchen sponge, but my dishes are messy. And I tell you that because it's not just my dishes and our dishes that get messy. Our lives get messy. And when our lives get messy, we try to clean up the mess. We're like using our own kitchen sponge. We're like, okay, the marriage is a mess. We did a lot of crazy things, but we're going to go to this counseling once a week and it's going to get all figured out. Or our money is a mess, right? And then we're like, I'm going to rent that Total Money Makeover book from the Bay Shore Library and get things all sorted out. Or like our diet's a mess. My doctor's been yelling at me for a decade, and so I'm going to get ChatGPT to make me a diet plan. Maybe this is a personal story. And we'll fix this mess. Or my football team is a mess. And they were terrible last year, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Root for the Ravens. That'll be better for you. You know what I mean? All right. I hear it. Go birds, but not that bird. Anyway. We try to clean up our mess, but somehow, isn't it true that our lives still get messy anyway? And we're still running 21 minutes late to church yelling, I need a miracle. And so, also, when our lives are messy, we start to think that Jesus isn't there, or he's not good. And sometimes believing that Jesus is still good when our life is messy, that is a miracle in and of itself. And so what do we do when life gets messy? What did they do at the wedding party when things got messy? Well, let's kind of keep going. This is in verse 6. Standing nearby, they ran out of wine. So standing nearby, there's 6 stone water jars used for Jewish ceremonial washing. Each of these jars could hold 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told the servants, okay, fill the jars with water. And when the jars had been filled, he said, now dip some out and take it to the master of ceremonies. This is like the wedding coordinator. And so the servants followed his instructions. Now, I like to imagine things. And I got to imagine when Jesus gave the servants, the wedding staff, these instructions, I'm pretty sure the wedding staff was like, I think we know who drank all the wine. I think it was Jesus, because it just makes no sense. Okay, because think about it. What Jesus wanted them to do is fill up 180 gallons into these jars of water. Dip out the water. Okay, now I'm from Gumboro. We call that water. Or Deer Park, that's the gross water. But anyway, you dip out the water. And then he wanted these wedding staff to go to the wedding coordinator and be like, here's the new wine we're serving that they dipped out with water. Now, these are crazy instructions. Would you agree? But the servants followed it anyway. And we'll come back to that in a second. Now, let me give you a little fun fact about this story. We don't know in the story when the water turned into wine. You can go home and you can research this, and you will not find a verse that says, on Joey's seventh step, that's when the water turned into Boone's Farm and they all had a party. That is not in there. You will not find that. And I don't think that's an accident. Here's what I think my takeaway is on that. We'll put this on the screen. We don't know when the miracle actually happened. We just know that they followed what Jesus said, and the miracle happened somewhere on the way. Everybody say on the way. Oh, I feel like preaching right now. I think sometimes we feel so much like, Jesus, we need you to do an instant miracle. Come on, let's do an action miracle. Let's do it right now. Come on, let's do some microwave miracles. Come on, Jesus, come on. Let's do the miracle now. Ooh, how about now? Come on, let's do the abracadabra, like grab it out of the hat now. And I believe that Jesus can do a microwave fast miracle. But I've been working in the church world for 20 years. And by far, the most miracles I've seen Jesus do are crock pot miracles. Jesus cooks in crock pots most of the time. I see slow motion miracles happen most of the time. And so you may not have a miracle, a microwave miracle story, but I bet you we got some crock pot miracle stories in the room. Where you're like, I don't know when it happened, but somehow Jesus helped me and my spouse get through that first year of marriage. You remember that first year of marriage? And now you're on your 20th year and you're like, this is amazing. I don't know when it happened. It's a crock pot miracle. Or I don't know, when it happened, but somehow Jesus got me through that 2 years of depression and now I'm back, baby. I don't know when it happened, but somehow Jesus pulled me out of that addiction after my 371 failed attempts. I don't know when it happened, but Jesus helped our family get through those fertility issues. Okay, when? When did it happen? I don't know. It happened somewhere on the way. On the way. Now, I know when Stacey and I first got married, we were broke. I tell you this all the time. We were so broke, we'd have to watch like the cooking channel while we ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches just so the sandwich tasted better. Okay, it was like, by the way, that's my funniest joke all day. That's my favorite one I'll tell. That's so funny. We couldn't afford the Netflix and chill. We're like getting free DVDs from the public library and chilling. Like we had no money. And I remember thinking, one of the things is one of my core beliefs is we got to do what only we can do and then trust that God can do what only he can do. And so I remember like we budgeted and we prayed and we were like, God, you got to help do a miracle in our money. And we took a financial class at the church and we did all that we could do. And I remember a few years later looking at our bank account statement, I'm like, wait a minute. Is that a positive balance? When did this happen? Then I was like, wait, eventually it was like, is there a comma? When did this happen? It happened on the way. When Stacey was pregnant with our son, Nixon, we went to a sonogram, one of the first sonograms, and the text said he has 2 cysts on his brain. Now, when the text said that, I freaked out inside, but I was trying to hold it together for Stacey, but I freaked out. And they said, you got to go meet with a genetic counselor. And so we met with this genetic counselor. That was one of the worst meetings I've ever had in my life. She scared us to death. So we're praying, and right after the genetic counselor, we went to get another sonogram. I'm like, okay, it's not going to be there because we were praying. On the sonogram, still there. Next sonogram, still there. Next sonogram, still there. Nixon was born on October 21st, 2015. The cysts weren't there. When did it happen? I don't know. It happened on the way. And I think we all probably have stories like that where things happen on the way. And listen, I don't know what miracle you need today. I don't know how messy things are in your life today. I don't know if you're going to get a crock pot miracle. I don't know if you're going to get a microwave miracle. I don't know if you're going to get a completely different miracle than you're even planning on because Jesus has a different plan than you have. I don't know. But I do know in the first miracle story that Jesus does, they just follow what he said to do, and they believed, and the miracle happened on the way. So I just came to church this morning to tell you, keep believing. Keep getting back on your feet. Keep fighting your demons. Keep forgiving. Keep praying. Keep trusting. Keep learning to lean on Jesus again and again and again. And this is maybe the most important thing I'll say today. We'll put this on the screen. What if the greatest miracle of all isn't the miracle you want Jesus to do for you? What if the greatest miracle of all is the miracle that Jesus wants to do in you? What if the greatest miracle of all is getting to know the one who's behind the miracles? Come on, I am excited about this slide and everybody's just looking at me like, this is amazing. What if it's not the miracle that you want Jesus to do in you? It's the miracle he wants to do for you. He wants to do something in you. You get to know the one who is the miracle maker. And so I just want to tell you, keep believing. Keep following his instructions. Life gets messy. He's still good. He is still good even when life gets messy. Okay, next idea is this. When you need a miracle, remember a relationship with Jesus is the greatest miracle. Now, Stacey and I moved into our neighborhood back in 2020, and I'm not exaggerating. Our neighborhood has over 500 houses in it. It is humongous. I grew up in Millsboro. We didn't have 500 houses in the whole city. We had 500 chicken houses. We did not have 500 houses. And this is not an exaggeration. I think Stacey and I are the youngest people who live in our neighborhood full time. I just walk outside. I smell Metamucil. I just sense AARP cards. You know what I'm saying? I'm offending some of you guys, okay? And this is not a lie. In a couple of days, when the school bus comes and gets my kids in our neighborhood, the school bus will pick up, literally in our entire neighborhood of 500 houses, they'll pick up 4 kids. Half of those kids are mine. Okay, my point is, the people in my neighborhood they drink Metamucil, is what my point is, okay? And so one of the things that we have found out is that the people in our neighborhood, we'll call them Metamucilers. Can we do that? Is that okay? Is that offensive enough? The Metamucilers will pay, they're willing to pay for kids, my kids, to take their trash out to the road and back from the road after the trash comes and picks it up. Sometimes it's when they're at home, they'll still pay for this, and sometimes it's when they're out of town. And listen, I would never pay for that. But these Metamucilers got lots of money in those Buicks. Just seeing how many people I can freak out today, okay? My mom drives a Buick. I'm sorry, Mom. And it all started because my neighbor next door, Mr. Jerry, he was willing to pay my kids $5. Mr. Jerry's not in town during the week ever, and so he's willing to pay my kids $5 to do their trash. So my kids have been doing their trash, and so the other week we got a call from Mr. Jerry in the middle of the week. And Mr. Jerry's like, hey, just wanted to check, did the kids do my trash? Because the HOA called and they kind of chewed me out, and they said they were going to fine me for my trash cans. And we're like, oh, yeah, the kids did your trash. They wouldn't possibly have forgotten. And as we're saying this, I'm looking out the window, and guess what I see at the end of his driveway? The trash cans, okay? So apparently 75 of the people in our neighborhood called the HOA. Everybody's freaking out. So the kids went and got the trash. I started handing out like Werther's Originals to people in my neighborhood to make them happy again. Some of you are like, I'm eating a Werther's Original right now. I'm offended. Look, who doesn't like a Werther's? I mean, they're great. Anyway, that weekend, Mr. Jerry paid my kids $5 anyway. I'm like, he didn't fire you? I would have fired you. And they were like, well, he didn't fire us because that's called grace, Dad. I'm like, you little turkeys, get in the house. Anyway, I just want to remind you that the greatest miracle of all isn't when you get a positive bank account balance. It's not when you get a clean bill of health, and I hope you get those things. But the greatest miracle of all is that because of Jesus' grace, you and I get to stand clean before our Heavenly Father, and He can say, well done. You're my son. You're my daughter. Come on in here. I'm proud of you. That is the greatest miracle of all. Jesus and being in a relationship with Him is the greatest miracle of all time. And so back to our miracle story. All right, the wedding coordinator gets handed this cup of water. Water. And we don't even know if it's water at this point. We don't know when it turns. But check this out. Verse 9. When the master of ceremonies tasted the water that was now wine. When did it happen? We don't know. Not knowing where it had come from, though of course the servants knew, he called the bridegroom over. A host always serves the best wine first, he said. Then when everyone has had a lot to drink, he brings out the less expensive wine. Some of you are getting like party tricks right now, okay? Don't do that. But you have kept the best. Everybody say the best. The best until now. This is a miraculous sign. This miraculous sign at Cana in Galilee was the first time Jesus had revealed His glory. Don't miss this. And this is the moment the disciples believed in Him. Now, I used to just think, okay, well, Jesus, he supersized the wine. I mean, he made it a little bit more or whatever. He went from like a bottle of wine and maybe converted it into like a box of wine. How many of you know about that box wine value? I'm just seeing who we need to pray for this week, okay? I'm just saying. But you got to think more than a box of wine. Okay, this is 180 gallons of wine. Okay, this is 36 of these filled with wine. Could you imagine somebody rocking up to your house with 36 of these filled with wine? Do you know how many bottles of wine? If you convert 36 of these into bottles of wine, how much that is? 600 bottles of wine. Jesus rocked up with a 600 pack at the party. Okay, so I was thinking at our Shorey's party for our volunteers this next year, we should have 600. I'm just kidding. Some are like, I'd volunteer if you did that. No, listen, stop. But it's an amazing miracle, all right? And that was the miracle that made the disciples believe. Now, this is as massive as the first miracle is, and as massive as this miracle story is. Okay, we'll put this on the screen. The biggest miracle in the story isn't Jesus converting water into wine. The biggest miracle in the story is that Jesus converted lost people into found people. Come on. That is the biggest miracle in the story. And the biggest miracle story 2,000 years later, today, is that Jesus is still converting. Jesus is still converting lost people into found people, and he's doing it in this room. Jesus is still converting our loved ones who have passed away into loved ones that we get to see again in heaven one day if they were following Jesus. That's a conversion. Jesus is converting our depression into our dependence on him. Jesus converts our addiction into victory. Jesus converts our anxiety into hope. Jesus converts our pain into purpose. Jesus converts our trials into testimonies. Jesus converts our fear into his peace. Jesus converts our hopeless relationships into restored relationships. Jesus has converted atheists in this room into believers in this room. And Jesus is converting a messy town like Rehoboth Beach into a revival. He is converting. He's converting. And that's a miracle. The greatest miracle of all is converted lives. I want to end by telling you about one of my friends who's in the room. We'll put her picture up on the screen. A lot of you know Miss Kristen Cordry, the Reverend Kristen Cordry, who preached the paint off these walls last weekend. Didn't she? If you weren't here last weekend, you didn't hear that Kristen shared up here a miracle that God's been doing in her life. She was born with some genetic challenges, and God is doing a miracle in her health right now, a miracle of healing her. And that is amazing. But I want to tell you the greatest miracle I've seen in Kristen's life. First time I met Kristen or saw Kristen, I think you came here 6, 7, how long is my timeline? 8 years ago. And 8 years ago, Kristen was kind of in a faith crisis. And part of that stemmed from the childhood church that she grew up in, basically judged her out their doors. And when Kristen was a teenager, she was pregnant and she wasn't married, and the church just looked down on that and looked down on her and pushed her basically out of the doors. The moment when the church needed to open the doors the widest for a young woman who was scared to death, she got shamed out of the church. And I just want to tell you that will never, ever, 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 ever happen in this church. Ever. 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 And so Kristen kind of went on a journey after that, and a faith struggle after that. Try to figure out, what does that mean? And I mean, you can imagine how difficult and confusing that would have been. And Kristen had a friend named Lindsay who invited her here 8 years ago. And Kristen came in this room, and the crock pot turned to low, then turned to medium, then turned to high. And Kristen, she rediscovered her faith here, and I got to know her and her husband Mike, and there's an interesting story about my father-in-law and her father-in-law that they're connected, and so there was a connection there, and got to know Mike and Kristen a little bit, and as her faith grew, she got baptized over here, her and her husband, and a year or two after she had been coming here, we needed somebody on our team in Bay Shore Kids, and I got to know Mike and Kristen quite a bit, and I'm like, Kristen's our person. She's the one. And so we brought Kristen on the team, and I am very proud that we hired the one that other church kicked out, okay? I am very proud of that. But what I've seen over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years in Kristen is I've seen her faith grow, and the way that she worships, the way that she loves Jesus, the way she loves her volunteers, the way that she loves her Bay Shore kids, the way that she loves her small group, the way that she preaches up on this stage, the way that her and her husband Mike live to model Jesus. Like, I am so blown away, and I am so amazed at the miracle that Jesus is doing in her health. But the greatest miracle in you, Kristen, is that Jesus has converted your life. That's the greatest miracle of all. And so I don't know what miracle you need today, but I just want to tell you, keep believing for it. Keep praying for it. We would love to pray for you. If you download our Church Center app, you can find the little prayer tab. Click that. There will be 20 people in our church, including me, who will start praying for you today. You put in that prayer request. We will be praying for you. And I just want you to be patient, because sometimes the miracle didn't happen the moment Kristen walked in here. It was a crock pot. It's going to take a little bit. So just be patient. But I just want you to know the greatest miracle of all is to get to know the one behind the miracle. That's the greatest miracle of all.